Welcome everyone. I'm here with Susan Neal. She is a registered nurse and she's about all things nutritious and healthy, and she's written many books on that subject. So today I'm inviting Susan virtually to come join me inside my pantry with you so we can go through the things that I have and you might also happen to have in your kitchen that would help boost your immune system. Hey Susan, it's great to have you.
Oh, thanks so much, Tina. This is going to be fun.
I think it will be fun. So let's start with my breakfast foods that I have. Try to get the camera to look at my breakfast shelf. I have some Mucilix, which is an Ezekiel brand Mucilix. So I'm guessing, I don't have the actual box anymore, that would probably be an organic item. I also have Kellogg's Raisin Bran, which is one of my husband's favorite breakfast and dessert foods. And it does not happen to say that it is non-GMO or organic.
How many grams of sugar per serving for that?
Well, it says if you're only having a 1 cup serving, that it's 17 total grams of sugar and 9 grams of added sugar involved in that. So I'm guessing some of that is actually the raisins themselves.
Woo! That's a
high sugar cereal.
Right, but is at one sitting to never have more than 10 grams of sugar.
Ooh.
And the American Heart Association has created a new guidelines regarding sugar. And for a woman, it's something like 24 grams per day. And for a man, it's like 32, 36 grams per day. So you want to watch your sugar.
That's interesting. I wonder why men need to have more sugar than women. Anyway, we'll skip right past that idea.
They're usually
make all kinds
larger.
Of jokes. Because they're larger, right. I could make all kinds of jokes about other reasons why they might need sugar. But there's the Quaker cereal, which is a protein instant oatmeal. It does not say that it is non-GMO or organic.
So with that one, we need to be careful of the pesticides on our crops. And most specifically, the 4 crops in the United States that 85 to 95% of them are GMO Roundup Ready crops. And that means that the seed has been modified so that the herbicide, which contains glyphosate, does not harm the produce. So for wheat, corn, oats, and soy, those 4 crops, wheat, corn, oats, and soy, you want to buy organic, because there's been a company out of Washington, D.C. that has tested oat products, and 100% of them were found to have some glyphosate residue, and glyphosate causes cancer.
Ooh.
So if it's one of those 4 products, buy organic.
So if you don't want to have cancer from your cereal, you want to make sure that it's non-GMO and organic, correct?
If it's made of oats, corn, wheat, or soy.
Or soy. Well, that's almost everything. Grits, that's a different hominy, right? That's not wheat or corn. Or
right?
soy. Is it corn? Okay. So this does not happen to say that it's organic or non-GMO. So that's probably not safe, right?
Because then you could be consuming the glyphosate residue from the corn.
Okay.
Yes.
Now this is something I used to use for baking, but actually these are just regular oats and they are organic and they are also non-GMO certified.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay. So let's go ahead and turn down into my next little shelf here. I don't know if you can see it. We have some soups. This is more of a soy type of soup. That one probably isn't safe. It isn't because it's miso. It doesn't say that it's organic or anything. And it's actually, I'm just now noticing, past its expiration date too. So I'll be throwing that one away. And then there's an organic vegetable masala, and that one has carrots and tamarind and ginger and cumin. This one does say that it is non-GMO and organic. So that one has 7 grams of protein and 6 grams of fiber. It's made with peas and butternut squash and all kinds of things. So what about that for an immune boosting item?
Great. And it has immune building herbs.
Okay, so immune building herbs are good. I also have some butters and peanut butters, almond butter, and jams to go with them. We have almond butter, which is non-GMO certified, and then we have regular Peter Pan peanut butter, which most moms and families would have in their kitchen. It does not say that anything about GMO certified. So I'm wondering about that. And I have also the Smucker's, which is a natural Smucker's. It does say it's non-GMO, and it does have some added sugar. The total sugars for a tablespoon is 10 grams, so that's a lot. And then the apple butter is an Amish apple butter. This has no added sugar. It actually just has apple juice and apples and cinnamon and spices in it. So what would you say about our peanut butter sandwich ingredients?
Well, I think the one that had the cinnamon, the last one that you just did there, the apple one, that one would be great. That one, and cinnamon is another immune building from Smucker's with all that added sugar.
Yeah.
And then, yes. And then check, is there any added sugar in your almond butter?
They don't.
Because almond butter is excellent.
Well, it does have some fair trade cane sugar, but for 2 tablespoons, there's only 3 grams of total sugar. So they must not have added a lot of sugar.
And what I do is I just check with my almond butter that there's just no sugar added. You don't need to have sugar added. Really, all it is almond salt. That's all you need.
Okay.
And so almond butter is great. Cashew butter is great. And then the peanut butter, I really avoid products with peanuts because of the mold. And if you Google peanuts with mold, you'll see that they really go together. And I live in a rural area, and there was a 500-acre farm behind my house for 15 years. And how they process the peanuts made me realize it can be in rough, because they go out there, and when the crop is done and they turn the crops over, and then they leave the peanuts on top of the ground for several weeks with the rain in Florida. And I was like, oh my gosh, with being sitting out on the ground for weeks before they bring it in and process it. So I don't recommend peanut butter, and many people are allergic to it.
That's true. So that goes through my sandwich items there from the pantry. I also have some spaghetti sauce items. I have tomatoes that are canned. They are actually organic tomatoes and non-GMO certified. They just have crushed tomatoes and basil in them. There's no sugar added to this at all. So I was wondering if that would be a good alternative to spaghetti sauce. I do have a spaghetti sauce made by Barilla, and that is non-GMO certified and gluten-free with no added sugar and no preservatives. So that might be better than the average. It does have some salt content. For a half a cup of this, there's 420 milligrams of sodium. So that's pretty high in salt, whereas this one would be 110 for a quarter of a cup. So it's still got some salt added to it. And then there's always the cheapo Classico that is not organic or anything. So that one actually has 6 grams of in half of a cup and 500 milligrams of sodium. So I was interested to see what you would say about spaghetti sauce. People are trying to cook big, cheap meals.
Right. Well, with the Classico, they want you to come back and buy more. So they're adding extra salt and sugar to it. So with the other two that are organic, those are good brands. I've bought lots of Muir Glen. But the difference between the glass and the ones that are in the can, both of those products are good. However, in the can, all canned foods are lined with BPA plastic. And so there has been a study, I looked at a clinical study that was done with individuals who ate foods out of a can, and 24 hours later, their urine specimen showed that it had BPA plastic in their urine. So therefore, out of those two products, I would choose the glass jar.
Or some of the cans I'm noticing now, like this particular one, does say it's a non-BPA lining. So I think they saw that study and they must have been changing the way that they house their product. So I noticed that as well on my beans. My beans say that they have a non-BPA lining. However, these beans are not organic. They're not non-GMO, and they are not low sodium. So a lot of people have beans in their canned goods when they're stocking up for hurricane season or during a pandemic or some other time when they feel like they need to have a lot of food that's storable. So what about canned beans as an option for keeping yourself healthy and nourished?
I think canned beans are perfectly fine. And really, that's not a product that's going to have a high amount of pesticide sprayed on it.
Okay.
And the every year, the Environmental Working Group comes up with the Dirty Dozen list of foods that have the highest pesticides, and beans are not on that list.
Well, that's good news. We have lots of those. I would say probably if you're watching salt, though, you have to watch what the sodium level is in the beans, right? Because these ones have 470 milligrams of sodium per half cup. There's 3.5 servings in this can. And the way my boys used to eat beans was not 3.5 servings in a can. So it just depends on whether you need to watch your salt. What do you think about canned tuna?
Well, I was writing my book, 7 Steps to Get Off Sugar and Carbohydrates. And with any kind of processed meat, like canned tuna, bacon, sausage, it's stuff that is the processed meat, or it's shredded up and then it's put and formed into a patty, like for chicken or your lunch meat. Processed meat is a carcinogen.
Ooh.
And it's like category 1 carcinogen along with cigarettes. So yes. And so I never would have known that if I wasn't doing my research for my book. So you really want to try and avoid canned foods if you can.
Wow, that is
when you're stocking up for you might need to go ahead and use it when you're stocking up like we are now with the coronavirus scare.
Right. Yeah, we've got lots of canned chicken and canned tuna. Is the issue with the lining of the can again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the BPA again as well.
So I'm not seeing that on this particular can of chicken that they have done anything to protect the lining of the can. So we'll have to start watching for that to see if anybody's protecting their can linings to make them healthier. So we'll just kind of pan around here and look at my back wall of things to eat. I actually have some packages of nuts for snacks, and we like to keep these in the car if somebody's blood sugar gets low or we start to lose focus. This actually says non-GMO, no artificial flavors or anything added to it, and each package is only 100 calories and 20 milligrams of sodium. So what do you think about these little handy packages of nuts that people, maybe some dried pineapple or something in there with them as well?
Excellent.
Choice.
Number 1 choice.
Awesome.
Yes, A+.
Okay, so we've got some canned organic olives, but it does say it has a BPA-free lining and it's non-GMO. What are the benefits of eating black olives, for example, as a snack?
Olives have omega-3s, so olives are really great. You want to use olive oil, and omega-3s are really great for our brain, and it's also immune boost.
Oh, good. Good to know. Well, we've got a few good things in here. I have prunes as well. I don't have the box
Mm-hmm.
for them. So those are they immune boosting, or are they just what we all know prunes do?
I think they do what we do.
Okay, I also have some almonds. These are just whole almonds. They haven't had anything added to them. I've had these for a while. So what do you think about buying almonds in bulk like this?
That, you know what I do with mine is I make my own homemade pecan butter. But what I mean almond pecan butter. I like a mixture of the two. So I would just open up that packet on a pan, roast it in the oven for 12 minutes, a little bit of salt, and you have your own homemade almond butter or
Almond
almond
pecan butter.
butter,
Wow.
almond cashew, whatever.
Even have pumpkin seeds. So these are non-GMO as well. So those you could add as a butter flavor too. Or just
Wonderful. This morning, I made oatmeal out of my certified gluten-free organic oatmeal, and I added my organic pumpkin seeds to them. That's great. Again, it's the omega-3s, which are wonderful.
it says it's a superfood. Is pumpkin particularly good for your immune system?
Well, seeds and nuts in general are, yes.
Okay. And I have actually, I eat walnuts every single day. So this is part of my daily diet.
I know that it has the omega-3s, but why do you eat them every day?
I
What do you
like
know
them and they
about
taste
them?
good in my salad. I like the texture of them. I think if I'm getting rid of some of my carbs, it gives me some of that texture back. So
It does. And what I try and do is I try and vary my nuts. So I'll do the pumpkin seeds one time and I'll put in something else, sunflower seeds, and then I'll use my almonds and cashews. And then, yeah, the walnuts, a lot of times I add the walnuts to the oatmeal or salads. Yes, you want to vary your nuts. And it's wonderful to get that omega-3s through nuts naturally.
okay. Well, what about coconut flakes or shredded coconut? I choose to get the kind that isn't sweetened because we all know sugar is not our best friend. So I've got an organic package of unsweetened coconut flakes. How would that be for my immune system or for any benefit whatsoever? Is it just tasty or does it give me any additional benefits?
Well, coconut it's a fruit and it's actually a low sugar fruit if you don't add the sugar. So it's good, it's healthy for you. But let me tell you how I use mine with the best dessert. I buy a non-dairy yogurt and I put it in this is like my ice cream. So this is a great low sugar dessert, but very satisfying. So I put the bottom is non-dairy yogurt, and then I add my coconut flakes which are chewy. I like slivered almonds on top of that, and then I might even add some pepitas. And if I want to really splurge, I add non-dairy whipped cream, that you shake up and you spray on top, and it's the most wonderful dessert. And with my yogurt, I make sure to buy like a Greek yogurt that has, all the good probiotics and no sugar added. So it's plain.
That sounds yummy.
And
It sounds like it would be good with berries as well.
oh yeah, oh yeah, and yes, I add the berries. I forgot them too. But the coconut makes it nice and chewy, and so it's very satisfying to be chewing that coconut.
That sounds really great. Well, here are my snacks that I like. I like to eat these chia quinoa tortilla chips. Now, they are organic and non-GMO certified. So would that be okay as a snack with my salad? It's my indulgent part and my healthy part that I eat with my dinner.
Yes, it's indulgent and it's a healthy one. I always say eat God's food, not the food manufacturers. So I always try and say eat foods that are less processed so that you can see that it came off of the farm or out of the garden. So with that, you can't really tell that that to me is more processed. So I would just rather eat a baked potato or a sweet potato with my salad.
So a baked potato, people would say that's very starchy and lots of carbs. Is that true, or is that not a problem?
I believe that when you have a complex carbohydrate like brown rice or quinoa or baked potato, those are foods that God made. And so, yes, they're perfectly fine. You need those carbohydrates, to make you run. Those are the gas. We just don't want the refined carbohydrates. The manufacturers have stripped all the nutrients. So white flour and white rice has been stripped of its nutrients. They can sit on the shelf for months and months, and it never goes bad. That's because all the nutrients that God originally gave that food are no longer in it. And since the extended shelf life, then that's helpful for manufacturers. But we want foods that are helpful for our body.
Okay, so the fresher the better. And so we have both of those. We have the spaghetti, that's the white flour spaghetti. And we also have the whole grain spaghetti, which actually is non-GMO certified whole grains. And that's not necessarily organic, but if you have to have something that's on your shelf for a while, would you want to choose something like this?
If it's going to be made out of wheat, I would make sure that it's organic so it doesn't have glyphosate. But something that can sit on your shelf for a month is a spaghetti squash. You can buy a spaghetti squash, and God made that. And you just, cut that in half. You bake it for 30 to 40 minutes, and it absorbs whatever flavor you put on it, your spaghetti sauce or your shrimp scampi or whatever, and it is so delicious. So that's the type of spaghetti that I use.
Huh, I had no idea it would last that long. That's good to know when you're going to the grocery store what to pick up. I have some other things over here. Let's see if I can get you to look at those for snack foods. I did choose, because I need to have snacks once in a while that last a while. It is non-GMO and organic and gluten-free. It's an herb cracker, which has whole grains. You can kind of see the whole grain in the cracker on the package, and they taste delicious. They actually don't have a ton of sodium. You get 12 crackers in a serving, and it's only 170 milligrams of sodium. So when you're looking at the difference between something like this or a Triscuit, or probably the worst choice ever, saltines, are there crackers or snacks like that we can choose that would be better than others?
Yes, you've chosen the best of those that are on the shelves. And what do you eat those with?
I actually like goat cheese. So I'll have goat cheese. We do like a cheese plate, and I'll get some goat cheese and some walnuts and some sliced apples and some crackers. So it's not just the crackers with the cheese, but lots of choices of things, fruit and things like that.
So to make that even better, instead of the crackers, you could use celery. You could use carrots, and you want the long carrots and dice them up. You don't want those little short carrots because those have been processed and the flavor is very bland. You get a real carrot these days and chop it up, and you're like, oh wow, forgot how good carrots taste. Or you could do strips of like red bell pepper. Now that is you're eating God's foods, right from the garden. And that you wouldn't need your prunes then.
All right, we're looking down a little bit lower. I do have some vinegars, and I know that another time when we talked about the different kinds of vinegars that you should be careful of and ones that are good. I do have some specialty vinegars that we got from a specialty vinegar shop. Doesn't say a lot about it because they package it, but it's a coconut white balsamic vinegar. And then I also have a red wine vinegar. It does say it's non-GMO. imported from Italy. So that is another thing that we use. We usually use this more for gargling or health reasons or things like that. What do you think about the benefits of red wine vinegar?
I think both of those vinegars are excellent.
Okay.
Yes, vinegar is great. And so I don't think you have to worry about that too much, unless it's the, the white distilled vinegar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's for cleaning rather than for
Right.
using it for cooking. So we have turbinado sugar, which I used to use when I was making cookies. And then we also have organic coconut sugar, which is what I tend to use now instead. It says unrefined, so it's more of a turbinado, but a coconut sugar. And then there's also organic agave in the raw, which I haven't used very much. I'm not sure if I like the flavor of that. And then stevia, which can only be used in certain applications because it does have sort of an aftertaste and it doesn't really work well for some people sometimes. So any thoughts on when you're adding a sweetener to make like a special treat on those kinds of options?
I think those are all really good options. I like the coconut sugar one. And then another one that I would add to that is one out of Japan, monk fruit sweetener. So it's made out of a monk fruit. And stevia and monk fruit have 0 on the glycemic index. And so there's like a sugar index. How high does the sugar go? And then so there's like a list. I included it in my book. So you could see which one, if you needed to go really low, or if you could go up to honey or maple syrup, or what was the other one that you had? The agave.
Agave. I think
So
that's
all
pretty
of those
good.
are natural types of sweeteners,
I
which are
usually have
fine to
honey,
use.
like a raw honey every day just for other health benefits. I think it is anti-inflammatory, is it not? And then it has allergy properties
Yes.
as well. So that's what I have normally. But those are things I use for baking. Also for baking, I have oat flour and I have some almond flour. And I think that those might be better than your white flour options. And I do have some of that somewhere maybe still left. And then when I'm making something, I like to add sometimes this dark cocoa. It does say it's non-GMO, but is there any concern about the type of cocoa powder we would use if we're making a special treat?
No, if you use 70% dark chocolate, that's actually beneficial. I usually buy like the Ghirardelli chocolate bars and melt it and add to it, or seeds, and so if you're making that, I think that would be perfectly fine. And then with the oats, I would just check that oat flour to make sure it's organic. And those are excellent alternatives to white flour, as well as coconut flour.
Right. Well, let's head over to my spice cabinet then.
So it's great to use things like turmeric, immune building herbs.
Can you see my spice cabinet?
Yeah, sure can. You've got it all organized. Have you been cleaning? I know we've all been cleaning
I
recently,
did.
haven't we?
To be perfectly honest, I actually did some work in the pantry, but this is exactly how I have my spice cabinet. So we have coconut oil.
Wow, you are an organized lady.
And this is our olive oil Pam. I don't know how you feel about using the spray, but it is very convenient to have the spray.
It is. I use it too, and I use the olive oil one as well.
Okay. And then we have some sesame oil, which we don't use very often. It's probably terrible. It's probably made in Taiwan, so I'm not sure we don't have very much of that there. Then we also have some oils that we bought from specialty stores that were distilled with garlic and chili and chipotle.
Wonderful.
These are all olive oils that we like to use sometimes for desserts or just flavoring. My mom puts it on ice cream when she gets hers. We have honey ginger and chocolate balsamic vinegar I like this cherry one. I don't have it very often, but it's really good. And there's an espresso. You can tell that one's been used a little bit more often. Anybody
Yum.
who's watched anything of mine knows that I love my coffee. So, and then we'll go through some spices as well. Cayenne pepper. What about that? Is that an immune booster?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's very good for you.
What about cardamom?
I don't know if that one is or not.
Okay. And then we have parsley and basil. This is actually organic basil. And I buy Himalayan pink salt. I don't know if that's really better than white salt. I have heard that it is. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, I use that as well. Yes, that's very good.
I think it tastes better, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else. Let's see. I have garlic. And I've heard that that actually is really good for your immune system.
It really is. And what's really best, though, is, again, to use fresh garlic. And I've really been surprised at how many people will have it like that or have it like in the jars. Whereas you just buy the garlic clove and it sits on your, on your counter or wherever you place it for like a month, and you just press it, and there's nothing like the smell and the aroma of fresh garlic in your food. So I really highly recommend using fresh garlic and fresh ginger. Oh, that's very immune boosting. And it's very delicious.
Okay. I think we have just the dried ginger right now, but sometimes we get the crystallized ginger as a snack because that's good for your stomach as well.
Yes, it is.
I try to get the lowest possible sugar one. But like you said, like the fresh garlic is better. What about pickled garlic? Pickled ginger. How is pickled ginger? Okay. That's the kind that you get with your sushi.
Oh, yes. Well, I think eating it like that, I think is perfectly fine. I always love it with my sushi, don't you?
Oh, I do. And chili powder.
Yes, that's good for you as well. Mm-hmm. Kind of like the cayenne.
Minced onion. I know that it's better to have the fresh onion, but sometimes that gets moldy. So just in case we run out, we do have the minced. Is that okay to have?
Yes.
Okay. And then cumin. I don't know if you know anything about whether cumin has any properties or not.
Oh, it does. That's very good for you as well. Yes,
Oh, okay.
It does. It's anti-inflammatory properties.
Oh, good, good to have. And people listening probably have that and didn't know that it was good for them. And this is another one that you mentioned before when we were in the pantry. One of my favorite flavors, one of my favorite smells is cinnamon. Tell us a little bit more about cinnamon.
Cinnamon is an immune boosting herb. It's very good and detoxifying. And it makes so many different things taste. One oatmeal this morning, it's just so simple to add. Like a turmeric drink, like if you were to make a turmeric drink and you add cinnamon to it, that would be delicious as well. My daughter always adds it to our London fog. She makes a nice warm London fog drink in the morning with cinnamon.
Good. All right. I have one last spice in here, paprika.
Oh yeah, that's very good as well. So many, that's kind of like, it's like almost like God's medicine cabinet there, all the different spices, and we should really use them, and they are really beneficial for us, and they enhance the flavor of our food.
This has been really fun, Susan. I only have one more thing, and that would be my fresh fruit bowl. I don't know if you can see that there. Let's see if I can aim the camera.
Yes.
Can you see my fruit bowl?
Yes, your bananas and green apples. Green apples are absolutely wonderful. Bananas. So for the green apples, those are the best apples to buy because they're low in sugar. And that's what I do. I slice those up and have it with my almond pecan butter. It's very satisfying. When you get off sugar, something like the green apples actually become sweet versus a little bit of tart. And then the bananas, you want your bananas to be a little bit on the green side. That is best. When they get super ripe and start having brown spots, you don't want to eat them because it's so high in sugar. So it goes from a low sugar fruit to a high sugar fruit, and you want to lower your sugar consumption.
Okay. And I do have an organic tomato, actually, that we got at the store.
Wonderful. It looks delicious.
It is. We love these tomatoes. They're really good. And this is something I have every day. It's an avocado.
Yes, wonderful. Sliced up in the salads. And my daughter just made an avocado and fruit smoothie, because it gives you protein, it gives you the omega-3s. The omega-3s are great for the skin. So it's, just to make it more full of oil and shiny instead of being so dry and flaky.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. You've had so much information. How could people stay in touch with you and find out more about how to stay nourished and how to stay healthy and how to keep their immune boosting foods stocked up and keep their immunity at its best?
They can find me at my website, SusanUNeal.com. That's Neal, SusanUNeal.com. I have a free gift there. It is 7 days to boost your metabolism. And so it goes through what you do each day. So that will get you, jump started with what you need to do to improve your diet. And my number one Amazon bestseller is 7 Steps to get off sugar and carbohydrates.
Well, this would be a good time to do that, just as any. So please follow Susan Neal, and I thank you all for watching, and I thank you, Susan, for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
And you may come back for more content on my YouTube channel or at my website, tinayeager.com.